Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a concept that, honestly, quietly runs all of our lives. We usually view credit as this heavy financial burden, right? But looking at the source material, a really fascinating perspective emerges. Credit is actually an economic superpower. It is literally the invisible engine driving our modern economy. But like any superpower, it demands a lot of respect and understanding. Because if we don't grasp exactly how it works, well, it can turn against us in a real hurry. So let's dive right into this. Here is our quick roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the power of credit, then the reality of borrowing, the infamous credit card trap, how your credit score actually works, and finally, the economic ripple effect. All right, section 1, the power of credit, or getting things now and paying for them later. At its core, credit is basically a financial time machine. You get to take possession of an asset today, like a car, a house, maybe some business equipment, and you pay for it in the future. But notice those last 3 words on the screen, usually with interest. That right there is the price of time travel. You get the item right now, absolutely, but you pay a premium to the lender for that exact privilege. And it brilliantly illustrates how a single line of credit acts as this sort of economic heartbeat. Take a mortgage, for example. Step 1, a family secures the loan. Step 2, that capital flows directly to a builder who is constructing the home. And then step 3, the builder goes out and buys materials, which puts money directly into the pockets of local suppliers. So suddenly, just one family's loan has created this massive, cascading wave of employment and spending. And this ripple effect? It happens across the board. We're talking everything from small business personal loans to your standard home mortgages, all the way down to the credit cards that we swipe for, everyday groceries or a sudden car repair. Now, obviously the skills differ wildly here, but the core function remains exactly the same, keeping capital moving and circulating. Moving on to section 2, the reality of borrowing and those crucial ties that bind your budget. So the ground level reality of borrowing is that you're essentially putting a lien on your future income. Think about it. When you finance a car or a home, the lender legally holds the title. You don't actually own it completely yet. You are simply renting the privilege of using it as long as you make those regular payments straight out of your monthly budget. Which naturally leads us to a slightly uncomfortable question. What actually happens when things go sideways and you fail to make those payments? Well, the crucial point is repossession. Because the lender holds the title, defaulting triggers their legal right to just take the asset back. That shiny new car? Gone. It's definitely a harsh reality check. But unless you plan on living completely off the grid, it's an incredibly powerful motivator to manage your monthly budget. Okay, section 3, the credit card trap, and the very real danger of minimum payments. So when that monthly credit card statement arrives, you essentially hit a fork in the road. Taking the path on the left, paying the balance in full, well, that means you're just using the card as a super convenient tool. Perfect. But the path on the right? That's exactly where the trap is set. By allowing you to make just a tiny minimum payment, credit card companies ensure you accrue interest on everything left over. Miss a beat, add in some late fees, and boom, you suddenly have a snowball effect of compounding debt. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the single, terrifying figure that makes this trap so dangerous, greater than 100%. Over an extended period, if you're only making minimum payments, your interest charges can literally eclipse the original cost of the item. Seriously, you could buy a TV today, and by the time you are finally done paying it off years later, you've essentially bought that exact same TV twice, just in interest charges alone. Crazy, right? Next up, section 4, your credit score. Basically, how you earn your financial reputation. You see, every swipe, every loan, and every payment builds a data trail. Your credit score isn't just some random number pulled out of thin air, it is a highly calculated grade on your personal reliability. It's the primary metric that tells the rest of the financial world exactly what your capacity is to repay borrowed capital. And this 3-digit reputation, it follows you everywhere. Obviously, banks are checking it to figure out your loan eligibility, but it goes way deeper than that. Insurance companies often monitor these histories, and even potential employers use credit scores as a proxy for personal responsibility. Now, the source material notes this practice of employers checking credit is highly controversial, but regardless of where you stand on it, it remains a stark reality of our modern economy. Let's move to and see how this builds into very tangible, real-world consequences. A good credit history acts like a VIP pass, granting you access to higher loan amounts and way lower interest rates. Conversely, poor credit basically locks you out, or if you are approved, you get penalized with completely exorbitant interest rates. Ironically, having poor credit literally makes the basic cost of living so much more expensive. Finally, Section 5, the economic ripple effect, how your personal habits impact our entire economy. The sources really emphasize that personal finance is not a solo sport. Sure, the pillars of individual stability, things like saving for the future, investing wisely, living within your means, and building strong credit, they absolutely dictate your own personal quality of life. But when we zoom out, we realize that these individual decisions are the literal foundation of our much broader economic community. Just consider the domino effect of a systemic failure here. It starts small, individuals overborrowing and defaulting on their loans. But that quickly bleeds into businesses losing revenue and freezing any plans for expansion. When businesses bleed, layoffs inevitably follow. Suddenly, localized, poor financial decisions result in entire families struggling to just meet their basic needs. It really highlights just how interconnected our economic fates truly are. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Credit is the invisible connective tissue of our modern world, and your choices simply do not happen in a vacuum. Based on the realities we've unpacked today, really ask yourself, are your personal financial habits building our shared economy up, or are they subtly tearing it down? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next explainer.